The report by Juhana Vartiainen, on the other hand, I do feel capable to comment on. The beginning of the report, I think we should remember, is a real fanfare for the Nordic model. It's very obvious that Juhana is a friend of the Nordic model, and there's a long list of the benefits of the model, which we're of course all very fond of reminding everyone who will listen. And I think one of the important benefits of the Nordic model that Juhana raised, which is too often forgotten, is the Nordic wage model with collective agreement, coordinated wage setting. It's this model is I think, like Juhana argued, very beneficial for innovation, for productivity growth through creative destruction, and this is something that is I think too often forgotten, at least by those from maybe the employer side who argue for greater firm level bargaining. So I think if we went to greater firm level bargaining, not only would there be wage moderation in crisis companies, but there would also be aggressive rent seeking in companies that are doing well, and both of these would be destructive for productivity growth. Of course, creative destruction is something that trade unions, in principle, we like. We know that it's a source of productivity growth, but of course, you'll never see even a trade union economist applauding any factory being closed or anything like that. So it's one of those things that we, in principle, approve of, but of course we're human, so we're not gonna, applaud when people lose their jobs. And I think Juhana would agree with that idea. But after the happy introduction by Juhana, the second half of the report is, of course, a different note. There's various challenges brought up, which is appropriate. There are challenges facing the Nordic model, and it's important that we take this seriously. And I think the fact that Juhana is clearly a friend of the Nordic model gives credence to these arguments. We really must take them seriously. We can't ignore them. I think a key insight is that the Nordic model itself is not economically unsustainable. It's not a problem of economics. It's more of a problem of politics. Juhana argued it's a problem of too few economists inside the body politic, which is definitely one way of seeing it, and that's of course a job of economists like Juhana and myself to argue the economic side of the argument. I'll touch on a few of the various political challenges that Juhana brought up. I think first one was that the nature of the wage struggle has changed in a fundamental way in a globalized economy, and especially inside a currency union. This is definitely true. It has changed, but I think this is something that the unions, at least so far, are coping quite well with, at least in Finland, which I'm most familiar with. In the past few years, we've signed centralized collective agreements with very meager wage increases, and they've been broadly acceptable. I think trade unions understand unemployment, care about unemployment, and recognize the trade-off between wage increases and unemployment. But of course, going into wage negotiations, it's very natural that the trade unions are not arguing for low wage increases. That's not a way to set up a good negotiation situation. The other argument, which is very important, is that the cost of welfare policies can no longer be pushed away from the middle class. There are not enough wealthy people to have the rich pay for the policies, and there no longer is a possibility to push the cost to the future generations, like there was in the golden age of building the social safety net. This is another thing that is a very real potential challenge, but at least on the trade union side, I think this is quite well understood. I'm not qualified to speak for politicians or for the Social Democratic Party necessarily, but at least for the trade unions. Now we're facing a major pension reform. We're negotiating a pension reform, and one of the main goals for the trade union side is to increase our pension contributions. So now we're not arguing for higher pensions for us, we're arguing for higher pension contributions. And this is a huge change from what it was a few decades ago. So in this sense, I think we understand that the employees have to pay for the benefits we want. And the third important argument is that, or challenge, is that boosting labor supply is necessary but not natural for labor unions and social democrats. And this definitely is true. This tough work line that Vartiainen supports is not easy for trade unions, with these reducing unemployment benefits or increasing pension age and this strict conditionality for benefits. These aren't policies that we love in trade unions. But I think even in this, that the trade unions and the political parties as well are quite capable of reform. I think the tough work line is a slogan that I cannot approve of, but maybe efficient work line or just work line or something like that. Because in the trade unions we certainly want higher employment. What we don't want is that through tough work line we're shoving people from unemployment or disabled people to poverty. Simply cutting benefits is not enough. We need jobs instead of benefits. So some sort of work line is acceptable for trade unions. And I think in this sector also, the past few years have demonstrated that we are capable of reforms along the lines of work line. Trade unions have made agreements that shorten the period of unemployment benefits, that cut early pensions, that increase the age for part-time pensions, and at the moment, as mentioned, we're negotiating a major pension reform that is. And the stated objective of the reform is to increase the effective pensionable age by a very significant amount. So there is no. We sign up to the idea of increasing labor supply, but of course some specific policies are not good. So it's a question of policy mix rather than goals. We agree with the goal. So I think overall these are real political challenges. I think so far the trade unions have done a good job of tackling these, but of course that could change. It'll be very interesting to see how the pension reform is, for example, evaluated by our members and by the political left. I certainly hope that it will be received well, and but it's of course the future is not known. So I think this is more or less sums up my comments. So very nice reports, both of them. I enjoyed reading them, and I think the Nordic model does have a future as long as we remain vigilant and protect it.